thank you all for being here this evening. This practice today is going to be focused on balance. It won't be 100% balance. So for those of you who just let out a big groan, no worries. We're going to be doing some other stuff to move the body and relax and release and stretch and lengthen. And even the balance poses and movements that we're going to do will be, you'll have some options to make them less challenging or more challenging. And I'll just remind you that with balance, there's really a threshold of enough challenge and too much challenge that when you tip over into too much challenge, you don't get the benefit. So if you opt for the most challenging version, but you lose your balance or fall out of the pose pretty quickly, then you're not going to gain the benefit. So you might need to do the less challenging version, or you might do something, you might be able to technically do the challenging version, but the lower challenge might actually be more beneficial. So listen to your body, decide what's working for you, take any options, any modifications, adaptations that you need throughout the practice, rest whenever you need to as well. So props, you might need a strap for the quad stretch. Blocks could be helpful in the transition. I'm going to use the blanket mostly for padding my knees today. So we will start on our backs. Whatever position is comfortable, using any props, leg position, arm position that allows you to rest for a moment. And here, those of you live and in person, we're doing this at the end of the day, end of the work day, end of the light of day. Perhaps you have not let your spine be parallel to the earth since this morning. And you might just take a moment to feel that change of the gravitational pull in your body. And your upright gravity pressing downward through the spine, through the hips, the knees, the ankles if you're standing. Here with the spine parallel to the earth, gravity can actually create space between the vertebrae. So decompressing through the spine, space for the discs in between the vertebrae. And then begin to shift your attention to the breath. Breathing through the nose, both in and exhale. And see if you can start to slow your breathing down. So instead of big deep breaths, you're just lengthening out a regular volume of air. Because we will be focusing a little bit more on balance today, if this is a challenging area of the practice for you, you might tend to get frustrated or even, berate yourself in your mind of why is it so challenging or hard or difficult to complete. But I will challenge you to be curious, to be accepting, perhaps to even have a sense of humor about your balance. So perhaps you bring one or all three of those thoughts, curious, accepting, sense of humor, to the front of your mind, and breathe with intention. We'll begin to move here from the back. We're bringing both our Arms and legs up towards the ceiling. And notice you don't have to straighten the knees all the way. And start to circle the wrist and the ankles. We'll be doing a few things here at the beginning, as we often do, but more for specific reasons today with the ankles and the mobility at the ankles. Switch directions. For balancing standing balance, you need good ankle range of motion, or acceptable ankle range of motion, and activation of muscles around the ankles, the shins, the lower calves are sort of your first line of defense to losing your balance. All right, we're going to relax here. Maybe just shake out the legs and the arms. And then lowering the arms and the feet down to the floor. We're going to engage the core here with some dead bug exercise, or dying bug, I think is a more appropriate name. And the core and our stability in our core also has a lot to do with balance. So starting to wake it up here. We'll begin with the feet up. So this time the knees are bent, shins parallel to the earth. We'll start with just the legs. Press the back ribs into the floor, and you'll feel your muscles around your waist engaging. Keep that engagement as you lower one foot, tap it on the ground. Bring it back to the starting position. We'll do the other side. The breath is inhale, lower the foot. Exhale, pull it back up. And alternating legs here, keeping the back ribs pressed down as you lower the leg. If you don't have the core engaged, the ribs want to flare up towards the ceiling and the back ribs pull away from the floor. So if you keep them down, that keeps the core engaged. If you'd like to add the arms, you're lowering foot and opposite arm overhead. Keeping that breath. More challenge would be to straighten the leg, reach it out away from you more. You just have to engage those core muscles a little bit more here. One more here. And then we'll pull both knees in, holding shins or backs of knees, or backs of thighs rather, if that feels better to the knees, and circle here. So hips, legs, pretty passive, and the arms are doing the work of circling the legs, and circle in the other direction. Bring the knees back in through center. We're coming up to sit. I'm going to roll on my spine to get there, but if you have osteoporosis of the spine, any other spinal issues here, maybe you just roll to your side and sit up. If not, hold the backs of the thighs. Use a little momentum to rock forward and then back, forward and back a few times. And eventually coming up to sit, where we have our feet flat. So knees are bent and the feet are flat here. And you might feel a little more comfortable with the feet out a little wider. You can decide what feels natural to you. I'm going to start by holding the backs of my thighs. We begin with balance here. We're kind of balancing in between our sitting bones and the tailbone for this boat pose. So first, lift that chest. We want to make sure the spine stays on. You can even use your arms to help get that lift of the chest. Walk the feet back and shift the weight in between the sitting bones and the tailbone. You could keep the feet down, maybe play with raising one or both feet here. Finding that balance, keep the chest up. Could stay holding on to the legs or reach the arms out. Shoulders stay relaxed. Unclench your jaw. One more inhale. And then exhale, lower the feet down, hold the shins, bring those feet out a little wider. Pull that chest up, using your arms to assist, and then relax it. Do that one more time. Inhale, lifting the chest. Exhale, release it. And then we're coming on to hands and knees. And you might choose to pad the knees with the blanket. tabletop where we have knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Could be flat hands here or loose fist, or on the forearms if you want to take weight completely off your hands. Cat and cow movements of the spine, warming it up. We're rounding through the back. Tuck the chin and tailbone. That's the cat. And then inhale, lift the tailbone, pull the chest forward for the cow. And move back and forth between the two. The breath is exhaled around the back. Tailbone tuck, chin tucking. Inhaling to lift the tailbone, chest forward. And move back and forth here a few times. Warming up so we're not forcing movement. Bring that spine back into the neutral tabletop position. Walk the knees out a little wider than your hips, so that wider stance of the knees to stabilize the sacroiliac joints and the lumbar spine as we twist through the mid and upper back. Bring one hand to the back of the head. Inhale, rotating the elbow towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, bring it towards the opposite wrist. Inhale, opening elbow towards the ceiling. Exhale, elbow towards wrist. Couple more. We'll lower that hand down, switching sides. Inhale, elbow towards the ceiling. Exhale, elbow towards opposite wrist. And we'll do 3 more here. And it might be hard to open. Might be hard to twist across. Again, moving in a comfortable range of motion. Lower the hand back down, walking the knees back in so they're underneath the hips here in that tabletop pose again. Working on a bird dog. So this is a balance pose as well. And we're really relying on our core and a hip and shoulder strength to keep us balanced. So firm the belly, so engage the core, make the solid wall of your abs. Lengthen the spine, so the tailbone and top of the head reaching away from each other. Stretch one leg back, toes point down towards the earth. And you could keep it at just legs and not involve the arms, but if you want a little more challenge, reach that opposite arm forward so you have the thumb up, palm is facing inward, and it might be just holding right here and breathing is enough work for you. Adding more challenge to this would be a forward and backward shift. So inhaling, shifting forward and enter 2, exhale, shift backward and enter 2. So it's a small shift. It's not a big movement, but it always surprises me how much more I have to work to keep steady with that small little addition of movement. All right, lower the hand, lower the knee. Maybe you sit back on your heels or stand up on the knees, shake out the wrists, roll the shoulders. And we'll do that balancing position. I always call this bird dog. Some people call it spinal balance. We will call it sun dog. It has lots of different names. So firm the belly, lengthen the spine, reach the other leg back, toes pointing down. Keep it at just legs or reach the opposite arm forward, thumb up. Stay steady and breathe, or shifting forward and back. We inhale, shift forward, exhale, shift back. And if this really throws you off, shift even less. But make sure you breathe or hold steady. Lower the hand and lower the knee. Find that child's or puppy pose. Hips over heels for child's, hips over knees for puppy. Remembering that child's is a great pose, but if you are dealing with osteoporosis, herniated disc, hip or knee issues, or maybe even cramping in the feet, toes, this puppy pose might be a better option for you. Arms could stretch forward or be closer into the head. Take a few breaths here, slowing the breathing down again, coming back to that lengthened breath we started with. Staying there longer, resting more, or when you're ready, coming back up to hands and knees. So we're warming up the ankles a little bit more. Toe rocking movement, as we often do in this practice. One leg back, toes are tucked. Inhale, shift forward, bending through the toes. Exhale, press back through the heel for the calf stretch. Forward and backward here. So mobilization of a few joints, that main ankle joint and the toe joints, especially that big toe. As I was saying before, and we'll practice this today in the class, small little perturbations, small little losses of balance in standing, we typically react with the feet and the ankles to maintain our balance. If it's a bigger shift or loss of balance, then we use our hips or we take a step out. We'll lower the knee, switching sides. And if you're thinking, well, why do we need to work on standing balance in the boat? It's also coming from the hips and the core strength, the ability to use your gaze, your visual focus to stay balanced, and training the inner ear also to keep you balanced in the boat so you're not tipping laterally and you can stay nice and straight. Lowering the knee down. I'm getting ready for down dog, which is a bigger calf ankle stretch, maybe even the whole back of your body stretch. Remember that puppy pose is sort of a kneeling down dog, so this might be an alternative to down dog if that doesn't work for you. Hands a little forward of shoulders, spread your fingers out, lift the hips up and back. Now I'm a little tight in my legs today, so I'm going to have a slight bend in my knees so I can reach my sitting bones up and back, taking the round out of my back, prioritizing the length of the spine. And then you might add some movements of pedaling the feet. Maybe it's a rise up on the toes, release the heels, a shake of the head. Down dog. If you can get that length in the spine and tolerate the pressure through the wrist, is one of the best ways to get more ankle range of motion here, which is again helpful for balance, but also really helpful in the catch position. Settling in your down dog, looking forward. We're stepping this left foot between the hands, and it might not get there on the first try. You could lower that right knee, left hand, helping the foot come forward. Everyone lower the back knee, lift the torso into this upright position, and we're finding that length through the spine so the tailbone reaches towards the earth and the top of the head is reaching up towards the sky. Bring the right arm up, bending the elbow so the hand's coming sort of in between the shoulder blades. I'm going to turn just so you can see me here from the back. Left hand comes up to find the elbow. So it's a little bit of a tricep stretch. We're going to turn it into a bit more of a lat stretch. So find that length again, top of the head up, and just arc it over towards the left a little bit. So you lengthen through that whole right side from the thigh up to the elbow. Note, did that right arm push your head forward? If so, gently push the back of the head back to keep the length in the spine. I have the wrong leg forward, I realize now, but we're going to lower that leg down, or lower the hands down. Step this back into a plank. Lower both knees and lower your torso all the way down to the ground. Once you're down, roll the shoulders or the shoulder blades towards the spine and the back waist to lift the head and chest, low cobra. Maybe press higher if that feels okay to the spine, the neck, the hands. Tuck the toes, use your abs to push your hips up and back into that downward facing dog. Take a few more moments here, finding those little mobility movements, pedaling the feet or rise up on toes, find that length in the spine. This time we're stepping our right foot forward, helping it get there, lowering the back knee, lift the torso into that upright position. Really intentional with the lengthening of the spine, the tailbone down, the top of the head up. This time left arm up, hand between the shoulder blades. Right hand finds that left elbow. Keep the length and subtle arcing over towards the right. So you lengthen through that whole left side. You might even feel hip flexors stretching here a little bit sideways, the lats, the triceps. Notice if the the arm pushed the head forward, gently push it back. Take a couple more breaths. Let those arms go, bring them down to the floor, or maybe those two blocks are right there. This might be helpful in the transition, the forward fold. We're stepping the back foot to the front foot, folding over here, either into that ragdoll fold, knees bent, upper body draped over lower body. Similar to child's pose, that forward ragdoll fold can give a lot of compression through the spine and also a lot of hamstring stretch. So if you need to take the compression out of the spine because of bone density, herniated disc, or tight hamstrings, you're doing this feet wide, butt back, forearms on the thighs, spine staying long. Maybe you add a little weight shift, subtle weight shift towards the balls of the feet, towards the heels. Ragdoll version, maybe you're holding elbows or backs of the hands, resting on the floor or those yoga blocks for a little release through the wrist. Bend the knees a little more, look forward, strong legs, we're rising up to stand. Once you're up, take a couple of backward shoulder rolls here. I'm moving that blanket off my mat so I don't trip on it. Coming into a couple of poses to work on feeling grounded or stable on the floor, on the earth. You could turn to the long edge of your mat or face me, either way. But we're going to bring our feet out wide, wider than shoulder distance apart. Toes are turned out, coming into this goddess pose or wide-legged squat. We're bending at the knees and the hips. You don't have to go real deep with this unless it feels like you want to go for a little bit more strength or range of motion. Right now, think about the weight being a little bit more in your heels, but then press into the big toe ball mounds and the little toe ball mounds. So the knuckle, undersides of the knuckles. And then see if you can lay all 5 toes down, spread out. And feel that pressure of the feet into the floor. Reach both arms forward here. Straighten the legs, pull the elbows back and squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit. And then sit back into the goddess, reach the arms forward. So we exhale, stand up, pull the elbows back, shoulder blades squeeze. Inhale, sit back, reach it forward. Do 2 or 3 more like this. Keeping that pressure into the heels, the underside of the big toe, the little toe knuckles, his toes nice and spread out. Pausing here at the top of the next one, releasing your arms, roll the shoulders. So now we're moving into balancing goddess, or sometimes call this a graceful sumo wrestler. So works a little bit better if your stance is narrower. So you might bring your feet in so they're maybe slightly wider than shoulder distance apart or about that. Toes are still turned out. We're going to bend through the knees and the hips. So you may need to adjust this as we go. I'm not going down into a deep squat here. Bring the arms up into this cactus position. Squeeze those shoulder blades gently. Focus the gaze on a non-moving spot here to start. We're going to start with a toe down version, so not complete balance. So we're shifting our weight to one side. Come up on the tiptoe of the foot you're shifting away from. The arms come out. and then settle back into that squat. And then we go to the other side, shift our weight, come up on the tiptoe of the foot you're shifting away from, settle back into that. So we inhale, shift to one side, exhale into the goddess. And we'll do that a few more times. So this version, your both feet are staying down. You're just tiptoe of one foot. If you'd like more challenge, shift and lift the foot, gentle land. Inhale into the balance. Exhale, grounding into the goddess. And we'll do maybe two more here. All right, lowering down, straighten the legs, swing those arms out, shake them out, roll the shoulders here. Now we're coming up to face the front of the mat and working a little bit more in this dynamic balance as opposed to, well, some of it will be holding still, but often our balance isn't just about holding one spot, it's about maintaining balance while we move. So that's what we'll be working on a little bit here. Take a step back with one foot, and it's not a big step back. So we're not coming into a lunge. This is as if someone took a picture of you in the middle of walking. So it's like a stride length, both feet facing the front, hands on the hips, and go ahead and focus your gaze on a non-moving spot. In yoga, that gaze focus is called your drishti. In physical therapy, we call it gaze stabilization. We use it for people with vertigo or inner ear problems, or have had a brainstem stroke and struggle with balance. You're going to use it for this visual feedback, a reference of upright, tailbone down, top of the head up. We're shifting our weight onto the front foot, so the back heel comes up, and then shift the weight onto the back foot, front toes come up. So we inhale, shift forward towards the front foot, exhale, shift back towards the back foot. And you could keep the hands right there or let the arms start to swing and shift forward and back with you. Now, you might know where we're going with this. One option is to keep both feet down as we're doing here at all times. Or the next time you shift forward, briefly lift the back foot, lower it down, shift backwards. So it's just lifting of the back foot. We're not lifting the front. So it's just a brief lift, which is sometimes easier than a longer hold, or almost often easier than a longer hold. So you could keep it here, keep it moving, or next time you shift forward, pause, we'll hold, relax the shoulders, keep that gaze focused on that spot, that length of the spine. Maybe you feel all those little movements happening at the foot and the ankle here. What I was talking about, we need those sort of reactions happening. Lower that foot, step it forward, shake out the legs, roll the shoulders. We'll do that again with the other foot back. If your stance is too long, it's really hard to shift the weight. So a shorter stance often works a little bit better for what we're doing here. Focus that gaze again, find a spot straight ahead, tailbone down, top of the head up, shift the weight forward to the front foot, shift it back, lift the front toes. So you know where we're going with this. Maybe you go ahead and start to sweep the arms forward and back with your weight shift. You might need to adjust the foot stance. You could stay with that back foot down the whole time, or next time you shift forward, brief small lift of the back leg, lower it, shift back. So you could stay here with that dynamic part, or next time you shift forward, maybe you pause and hold that leg up. Doesn't have to be lifted high. Keep the tailbone down. Gaze focus, breathe. Feel all those tiny little movements happening at the foot, the ankle. You might feel your shin, your calf working. And maybe you start to feel the outer hip of the standing leg working too. All right, lower the foot, shake it out, hold the shoulders. So in some of my other classes, we focus a little bit more on the feet. And as you were hopefully feeling all those small little movements happening at the feet, so it's helpful to actually engage some of the foot muscles and strengthen them. So that's what we're going to do here. Our feet are about hip distance apart or whatever feels comfortable to you. And I'll have you lift all 10 toes up, spread them out, lower the big toes only down, come back up, and then lower the outer toes only, so the big toes stay up. And then we alternate between big toes down and then big toes up. And you're going back and forth with this, alternating which toes are down. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And if you're looking at your feet to do this, try to do it without looking at your feet. So you start to build this proprioceptive sense, meaning your brain knows what your feet are doing without the visual confirmation telling you what's happening. You can feel the movement at the joint. And even though we're focusing on toes, and it may be hard for you to discriminate here with that movement, feel how lifted your arches are. And if you're not looking at your feet, feel how tall you are. I didn't even cue the tailbone down, top of the head up, and you're probably in this nice, long, tall, good posture position. All right, let this go, shake it out. So our feet, our ankles, the shin muscles are all awake. So we're gonna do a little bit more with that, and don't worry, we'll take a break on those in a moment. So you might like to be, for the next 2 or 3, you might want to be close to a wall or a steady piece of furniture to have your hand out on, or just to have it nearby in case you need it. So this first one, I'm going to start with my feet normal distance apart, and I'm rising up on my toes and then rocking back on my heels. And this one you might, especially rocking back on the heels, a little bit harder. You might need that wall or that steady piece of furniture here. And maybe you automatically did it, but go ahead and get your gaze focused on a non-moving spot. So here, that weight shift back on the heels, the lifting of the front of the foot, a huge part of being able to balance. If you lose that ankle range of motion, you're going to have a tendency to lose your balance backwards, or you're going to compensate through the knees, the hips, and the back. All right, feet flat again. Same forward and backward, but much more subtle. So this is just a weight shift. I'm going to shift my weight towards the balls of my feet and then shift the weight towards the heels. So I'm not lifting my toes and heels, and my movement is coming from the ankles as opposed to my hips shifting forward and back. So it's more of a sway from my ankles. And if the toes or heels pop up because you're trying to balance, you're starting to lose it, that's okay. Or if you go too far back, sometimes you have to take a step. And it's usually back because forward we have our toes to kind of stop us. Behind the heels, we have nothing. And you might notice here how the core is engaged, similar to the bird dogs we did, to the dead bugs. So the core really kind of controlling what's happening here in that sway and the shift. All right, and come back to center. Maybe shake out your ankles here. One more here, we're really going to feel the feet and the ankles. This is our balance beam or tightrope one. So you have one foot directly in front of the other. You might need to start with the hand on the wall, that piece of furniture. Tiny bend to both knees, focusing the gaze on the spot straight ahead. If you have the hand on the wall, lighten up or see if you can take it away, or maybe that hand hovers. Here, really feel that foot and ankle. They're automatic. These are reflexive movements. You're not thinking, oh, shift my foot left or right, or Um, if you're like, yeah, this is pretty easy, Laura, I've got this, and you want more challenge, turn your head side to side. And you might notice how your feet and ankles have to work way harder, or maybe you lose your balance, or you have to put your hand out on the wall. So we're messing with your inner ear, and we no longer have that one visual feedback, that drishti, that gaze focus, that gaze stabilization. So we're taking away the visual or hampering the visual feedback. The inner ear is having to catch up. So this proprioceptive sense is having to work really hard to figure out where your feet are. All right, head back to center, come up, shake out your legs, your ankles. We're gonna do this on the other side, other foot forward. Tiny bend to the knees, focus the gaze first, let's set it up. Breathe. Maybe that hand on the wall or hovering, or one finger sometimes. This could be challenging enough, staying right here or turning the head. And you might notice that it's easier on one side than the other. This stance, typically most of the weight or more of the weight is on the back foot. So if you have an ankle injury, Achilles injury, less range of motion, weaker leg, whenever that one is on the back leg, it's going to be more challenging, most likely. All right, bring it back to center, come up, shake out those legs a little bit. All right, so you're feeling all of that through the ankles there, a lot of that through the ankles. As I was saying before, our hips are sort of the next line of defense to losing the balance or maintaining our balance. So we'll be balancing here on one foot, maybe 1.5 feet here, and we're gonna add some dynamic to this, or potentially. So bring one foot forward, spread those toes. That starts to activate the foot, so all those muscles can do all those tiny little reactions. Shift the weight onto it, put a bend in that knee. The other leg crosses over and the toes are down. Focus the gaze on the spot straight ahead. Find that length in the spine. I'm going to turn so you can see. Note that my standing, both legs are bent, both knees are bent. And so as opposed to the standing leg straight. So you could stay here, toes down, or maybe you lift the toes up. You could always put those toes back down. You could stay with this or add that dynamic piece to it. So you cross your arms over like you're giving yourself a hug. And then we unwind, reach the arms out, the leg out. And then we exhale, cross it back over. Let's do maybe 3 more. So feel in this standing leg. So maybe the shin and calf are tired from all we've done. You might be feeling that more. The more I do of this one, I feel it in the outer hip. My glute medius is stabilizing my pelvis. All right, put that foot down, shake it out. These outer hip muscles here. Doing the other side, foot forward, spread the toes, shift your weight onto it, bend the knee, cross the leg over. Could be toes down, could stay with that. Toes up, playing with it, right? Maybe you add the movement, give yourself a hug. On the inhale, we unwind, reach out, exhale, cross it over. Let's do 3 more. You might have to touch the foot down as you come out or as you cross it over. Let it go. Shake it out. Roll the shoulders. Nice one. All right, we get to take a little break from the standing balance piece of it here and working on our way back down to the floor. You could, let's actually come to the back of the mat. I am getting ready to come into a squat, a ball squat. So knees, hips, ankles in line with each other. If you struggle with your ankle or the knee or the Achilles, you may not go in the deep squat. So we'll go partway down first. So I'm just going to shift hips back, forearms here to the thighs. So the spine is long. I'm not in that deep compressive position of the knees or the ankles. If you feel like you can, no reason to push it. Then you're going to lower the hips down. You can bring the hands down. The heels are going to come up. Maybe your knees pop along the way, like mine just did. And so now we're in this ball squat position. And you could do a tiny little shift forward and back if the big toes let you do that kind of bending. You could stay with this, or the balance piece of this would be bringing the hands to the thighs. Use that gaze focus. Maybe you can move the belly and thighs away from each other. Are you breathing? And then we'll lower the hands. We'll walk them forward. Hips come up to find that downward facing dog again. Take a breath here, spine lengthening. Lower the knees, untuck the toes, find child's or puppy pose, taking a break, take a rest. Forehead resting here on the floor or hands, or slide a yoga block underneath. Back into that lengthened breath. Coming back to your intention for the practice. Curiosity, acceptance, sense of humor. Curious or reveling in the knowledge about all the parts of the body that impact the balance. Accepting that some parts of the body don't always work as we'd like them to. That sense of humor that sometimes we fall out of the pose and we can just laugh and move on or come back to it. You could stay here longer, resting for more, or when you're ready, we're coming up. Actually, we're going to move on to our sides for a quad stretch. So lying on, let's all lie on the same side here for this one. Lie on your right side in a fetal pose here and support the head. If you struggle to get the foot in the quad stretch, grab your strap. So this one, the bottom leg straightens, the top knee and shin come forward, inner knee resting on the floor. Maybe you slide a block under that inner knee if that feels more comfortable. And then it's the bottom leg we're stretching. So bend that bottom leg, that right leg, reach back with the top hand, that left hand to find the foot or the ankle, or use that strap to get the ankle. Breathe. Let this foot go. Now, stay on your side for a moment. That right leg is straight again. If you have the block under that left knee, take it out. We're coming into reclined twist, but we're coming from a sideline position rather than coming from the back. So I'm just going to roll my left shoulder towards the floor and bring the gaze up towards the ceiling. Now that left knee most likely won't stay on the floor, but it might even kind of roll towards you here a little bit. If it feels weird to have it kind of floating in the air, bring that block back underneath. I've kind of run out of space here, but I'm trying to bring my left arm out to the side. Even the right arm could come out to the side here. Take a few breaths. So you might be feeling this stretch in a few different places. If it feels too intense, roll to your side a little bit more, or pull that left arm in towards you a little bit. Um, Stretching here through rib cage, those rib muscles, sideways, the obliques, low back. I'm feeling this in the outer hip, that gluteus medius muscle that we worked a lot in the balance poses. And I'm working with older people who struggle with balance or who've had falls, that ankle range of motion, ankle strength are a big part of what we work on. That glute medius strength and the core strength. And all of these things helpful in keeping you balanced in the boat, muscularly balanced in your body. All right, we're gonna roll up to the back. You may have like rolled off your mat, so you're gonna have to do a little inchworm back onto it, roll onto your left side, starting with the quad stretch here. So support the head with the arm or block or blanket. And the bottom leg straightens, the top leg is bent and coming forward to rest on the ground or a block. Quad stretch of the left leg. Bottom leg, we're stretching. Top arm reaching for the foot. And the other piece that we often address in this class with balance are hip flexors. When the hip flexors get really tight and you tend to hinge or lean over from the hips because of that tension, you will shift the center of gravity backwards behind your heels and then have a tendency to lose that balance backwards there. All right, release the foot. So stay on the side for now. That left leg is straight. We're rolling that right shoulder towards the floor. Maybe it touches, maybe it's a ways away. That right arm could be out to the side. If that right knee popped up and it feels okay, keep it there. Maybe you slide a block or folded blanket underneath it. So here we are in this twist that we often do towards the end of the practice, but we typically start on our back and twist the lower body over. Here we started on our side and twisted the upper body over. Feels pretty different. We'll bend both knees, rolling onto the back, shifting back onto your yoga mat because you probably rolled off of it. And coming into a stretch here for our hips because they've been working hard. So ankle over knee, pull the thigh in towards you, and hold on to the back of that thigh or the shin, or the other option of one or two blocks under that down foot to wedge you into the stretch. This is a reclined pigeon pose. I very rarely do the more traditional pose where we start from sitting here and fold over the leg, partly because it's a very challenging pose for a lot of people. And when you have your body weight behind the stretch, there can be a tendency to overdo it and hurt yourself at the hip, the knee, the back, sacroiliac joint. So I like the control and gradation of intensity you get from the reclined version of pigeon. Switching sides. Relax the neck and the shoulders and the jaw. If you have that head lifted here, see if you can lower it back down. If you can't easily, maybe you slide a blanket under the back of the head or do the variation of the foot down on the blocks so that you can rest through the neck and shoulders. Untangling the legs here. Decide if there's something you'd like to do before Shavasana, before the relaxation. It could be a happy baby, knees in but out wide, pull backs of thighs or ankles or feet. Maybe it's a different hip stretch, a bridge pose, another back bend, an inversion. Adding this into the practice if it feels like it's missing, if there's a body part that needs to be stretched or wants to be stretched or released or opened. Thinking about how you'd like to set yourself up for Shavasana here. Did a lot of lower body work with the balance. Maybe you come into legs up the wall or legs on the chair. Maybe you use your props in whatever way allows you to relax a little bit more. I'm going to use my blanket here, folded up so that it's a little weight on my low belly. And I'm just allowing me to relax a little bit deeper, the stimulation of the vagus nerve here. That little bit of pressure, light weight on the belly, helping me to rest even more over the next few minutes. And if you're tempted to skimp on your Shavasana, on your relaxation, remember that rest is when you integrate new information into your nervous system, your brain, spinal cord. Rest is when your body heals. It's literally the time when the anabolic processes happen, like where you build muscle or you knit skin back together. Rest is important. So you might use the breath to help you come into that resting phase. Take an inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, let out a sigh. Do that again. Let the breath go and allow yourself to rest for the next few minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Invite some gentle, small movements in, wiggling the toes, the fingers, wrists, the ankles, maybe gently turning the head. If a big stretch would feel good here, you could reach the legs out, the arms overhead, and inhale, lengthen through the body like you're waking up in the morning. Exhale, relax it. Bend the knees, roll to your side, pause for a moment here. Appreciating your body, your breath, your health, your yoga practice. Being gentle, press up to a seated position. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice and energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions.